Welcome to the Handcrafted Podcast, the business of making things. I'm Paul, founder of Philadelphia Table Company and the Handcrafted Network, and I believe great craftsmanship deserves great business strategy. This podcast is for makers who want to build not just great products, but a thriving business. Each episode will dive into the mindset, systems, and skills that turn craft into success. All right, guys, welcome back to the Handcrafted Podcast. Hope everybody has been doing great and have been productive and busy and all that sort of stuff. Appreciate all the emails and comments and questions and people reaching out. Have had a number of people also join the community, which is totally rad. It's been great connecting with a lot of you guys. A reminder, this podcast is brought to you by the Handcrafted Network. What is the Handcrafted Network? It's an online community of professional and semi-professional woodworkers and makers. We have a few other people that are not woodworkers in the group. It's really great to be able to connect with other people that are working towards a common goal. We had a really, really great conversation. I had two different group calls this week. One was for our scaling group, which has people that have employees and stuff in it, and we kind of talked a lot about scaling and growing and cash flow and all that sort of stuff. And then on Thursday, we had a group call that was with about kind of like a luxury strategy. I'm going to talk a little bit about what we talked about here, but we went in super depth about how to sort of position yourself in a way to really be getting like 2 to 3 to maybe even 4 times the amount that you're currently making on pieces. So if you're interested in joining the group, send me an email, paul@thehandcraftednetwork.com, or go to thehandcraftednetwork.com and you could sign up right there. Again, it's a really great place if you're looking to level up, if you're looking for support, if you're trying to find a way to grow your business, or you're in a position that's stuck, or if you just want to find a community of other people that you can ping questions to and talk to and all of that sort of stuff, get referrals from, all of that. Join the community. It's a really great place. Everyone is super great, super nice, super kind, sharing information, and it's a really great way to just connect with people all over the country to see how people are doing it in different places. So if you're interested, again, email me. I'll gladly fill you in a little bit, or just visit thehandcraftednetwork.com. All right, so today I wanted to talk about something that's been kind of haunting me all week, a little bit more of like a journal entry kind of thing, and then talk about kind of how I implemented this as well into sort of my meeting and business stuff, etc. So earlier this week, I got a quote request from somebody that wanted a very large table. So I went through the process with them of like, hey, what designs do you like? What are you thinking? Et cetera, et cetera. So I ended up getting down and giving them like a pretty good price, a pretty expensive price, for a table. I think I quoted something like $15,000 or something. So we were kind of conversing back and forth. We were sharing some images and sort of exploring the idea. But for me, I saw the email and just kind of had some like red flags about this person sort of being a tire kicker, if you will. So I just like wasn't really fully I was taking it seriously for sure, because it was somebody with a big table. Usually if somebody's asking for something like that, they usually have like a little bit of budget and all of that sort of stuff. So they then were going back and forth. We're getting a little closer, and then they send me an image of a table made by somebody else I know, another company, and they were like, "Hey, do you think you can make this?" And I was like, "You know what? That's not our table. Why don't you reach out to them first and explore the options with them? And if it doesn't work out, come back to us. I'll gladly continue to work with you." So they ended up going to this other person, and I asked the other person I sent him to. I said, "Hey, how did it go with so and so?" And he was like, "Great. I sold them a table for, and it was double the price of what I said." And I was like, "Oh my God!" So what happened was the lesson to me wasn't like, don't refer people. I think that's important to do that. I care about that sort of like ethically. And if, obviously if somebody references our table to you, I would hope it would come back to me. But, it's, for me, that wasn't the thing, that the sale went elsewhere. We're fortunate enough to have a good enough flow of work and plenty of stuff in the queue that wasn't what bothered me. What sort of bothered me the most was the fact that I sort of like misread the client's hand. So whenever you're doing like these quotes in this custom world of like making things, you kind of don't know what the other person had, what the cards are the other person's holding. So it's really just kind of like playing poker in a way. You're kind of guessing what their hand is and which ones you're going to really throw down on and which ones you're going to sort of cash all in on. And so I've been reverse engineering, trying to figure out what the steps are to really attract more of those sort of people that are willing to pay tons and tons of money for something that's handmade. Also breaking down my sort of mental construct of thinking that like I just kind of was like, okay, well, $15,000 is expensive for a table, but like for some people maybe it's not really, right? And there are people out there who are willing to spend a ton of money on this stuff where money kind of just isn't an object. So it's like, what are the things that they are looking for? What's guiding their decisions? What's sort of like, if money didn't matter, what guides the decision, right? For many of us, for most of us, we're kind of like financially and budget driven. When you're going shopping or you're at the grocery store or whatever, it's like, hey, do you want the $10 avocados or do you want the $4 avocados or whatever, $5 avocados? So we're kind of just doing stuff based upon pricing things. But when there is no option, when price isn't an option, what are the things that like people really care about? So I really started to like break that down a little bit. And I was like, okay, so in this world, people are really caring about, in our world, custom furniture, like what are the things where it's like they want it to be ultra custom, they want it to be unique and one of a kind, they want to have a great customer experience, and really starting to break that stuff down. So I further presented this to my team. We had a little like executive sort of team meeting on Thursday where we talked about sort of the path forward for Philadelphia Table Company and like figuring out where we want to go, what our North Star is and our nucleus and all that stuff. And I don't want to share that totally yet because we're sort of plotting the roadmap to get to where we need to be anyways. But a big part of that was like changing the value proposition so that you are attracting those sort of higher tier people to know that when those people do come, that they already have the money or they expect it to be expensive. I still have people that are coming in and expect things to not be expensive. So that really can change with a lot of like the marketing and the pivoting. It kind of, you want the client to sort of show their hand as soon as possible. Yes, I have like a budget thing on my email form. I suggest everybody does that. I think it's super helpful with at least like vetting the person to figure out, is the client worth pursuing, and B, is it something that is going to like, make sense, right, financially. So I do have that, but sometimes people are like cagey about that too. So like for example, our lowest budget price tier there is 6 to 8. I actually just changed it from 4 to 6. I brought it up to 6 to 8. So what happened is somebody will sometimes just click that, and like I had somebody do that yesterday or 2 days ago. They clicked the 6 to 8, and what they were requesting was more than that. So I was like, hey, do you have any flexibility in your budget? What you requested is outside of what you listed. And they go, oh yeah, no problem. I just clicked that. But yeah, if I could get exactly what I want, my budget, I can expand my budget. So that's where it gets a little tricky, because it's like, how much more are they willing to expand the budget? So I'm like kind of reworking my system to understand, how do I price myself so that we're turning a big profit. And it's not about a Scrooge McDuck thing, like diving through cash. I'm not trying to create profits because of that, but profits allow you to grow the business. It allows you to invest in, more employees or better employees. It allows you to invest in, like for me, like my building and new tools and equipment and pay myself. And, profit is super important. So if we're able to do things for a much more profitable price point, it allows us to just have a little bit more fun and a little more flexibility with like the types of projects that we're working on. So the goal at the end of the day is to see the client's hand as fast as possible. So to break that down, you have to do marketing and we talked about this a ton in depth. We went over examples and all kinds of things on the group call on Thursday, where it's like you have to present things in a way that express that things are expensive. So this way you're attracting people assuming that's expensive. For me, I think when people reach out, often they'll reference something that I know kind of doesn't look that expensive, and I'll be like, okay, cool. I bet their budget isn't really there. But that's also sometimes a misconception on my part. So I'm figuring it out now. Once I sort of crack the code, I'll gladly share with everybody here. But I just wanted to express the fact that it's like, don't let your own beliefs limit what you should charge for something just because you think something should be this, or, oh, that feels expensive or whatever. And it really is just a game of poker. Those people who get that money and get those really big tickets are the people who are not afraid to just like bet it all. And if the person says no, they say no and they walk away. So that's sort of what I'm learning is like the guys who get a lot. And of course we charge a lot for our stuff too, but I'm trying to go even more. I'm trying to ratchet it up even higher. And for me, it's getting over my own thing to basically say, okay, yeah, I should charge 2 times this and sort of see what happens. And it's just like playing that poker game, playing that hand, and really just like putting it out there. I wish I had a little bit more tangible, actionable things to offer here, but this is just something that's been haunting me during the week that I've been slowly starting to mentally break down as I start to process it and figure out plans forward. I'll share like I kind of always do. With that said, hope this was helpful for you. In general, the one thing I wanted to reference is, and the takeaway that I hope is that you get out of this is to kind of treat it a little bit like a game of poker. You never know what the hand is that the client has. So try to, as soon as possible, figure out where that budget is, what they're sort of like willing to spend, because to me that could really separate you from like having a really great client and like kind of like a really poor client. All right, guys. If you guys have any other questions, I think I'm collecting questions now for a office hours episode. If you have any questions that you want to share with me or want me to answer on the podcast, please send me an email, paul@thehandcraftednetwork.com. Otherwise, thanks so much for listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. I really, really appreciate you guys listening. It's been really great doing this. I realize I've been doing this for just over a year now. I think maybe a year and 2 weeks. And it's been really great watching this thing grow. So thank you so much for listening, and catch you next time. Peace.